Hi. It has been a while, hasn't it? By a while, I mean a week, so let's point out the elephants in the room, shall we? So number 1. Got a spatula. I'm filming in good lighting. I've got a new mask. I've got some new hair. Imagine if I just... I wish I could do that. I wish I had a wig. Damn it, wait. There you go, that's better. When I started this manhwa, I hoped, prayed, and begged for there to not be any NPreg. But of course, as if to make my life worse, there was. Hello, welcome to me reviewing and recapping chapters on of our manhwa because I ran out of content ideas. Kind of. Is this video ripping off Chalupa? Maybe. Anyways, today's victim. Low Tide and Twilight, not this beautiful book. That's saved for another day. Low Tide and Twilight. Low Tide and Twilight is an ongoing BL Omegaverse manhwa that includes this synopsis, and I'm reading this off the official wiki fandom page. Omega Kim Hee-hoon, who had given up everything due to reaching his limits, ran towards the sea with a child in his arms and was called by an alpha, Yo Taeju. Eun-hyun, I'm very sorry if I mispronounced the names, who was left with only debt, was demanded by Taeju his money, house, job, and his body. Currently the manhwa has 3 seasons, but we're ignoring that entire fact and only focusing on the first chapters because last time it took way too fucking long to do all of that. So we're shorting it down and making it easier for me, okay? Well, I mean, I've got nothing much else to say. Get ready for this ride, I guess, so sit back, relax, and enjoy my suffering. Be warned, I am going to be reading off the script, so if you're triggered, I don't care. We start off the first chapter with our main character, Eun. Again, sorry if I mispronounced that. Wondering about death. He says that he doesn't really care about death, since every living day for him is hell, and is almost equivalent to being death. As he's standing in front of the sea with his younger brother, he thinks about killing himself and his brother at the same time so that they don't have to live such a cruel life anymore. And so he picks up his brother and intends to actually kill both of themselves. But just as he's walking further into the ocean, a blonde man by the name of Taeju runs up behind him and grabs his shirt. Taeju quickly mocks his subordinates and picks up I cannot pronounce this guy's name, Eun-gun's younger brother. We will learn his name in a moment. Taeju tries to comfort the boy, but gets punched in the face. And you know what? As he should. He gives back the kid, and later in the car asks Eun if he's virgin, to which Eun doesn't reply. A woman opens the car door and takes the younger boy, Young, the younger brother, away. Eun tries to get him back, but Taeju friends him and keeps him in the car. Chapter 2. We're moving quite fast because these chapters are actually kind of relatively short, or maybe I just got better at recapping, who knows. By the way, very big trigger warning. SA. There is a lot of sexual content in Low Tide and Twilight, so again, trigger warning, beware. Taeju, the guy up here, lists off Eun's information before mentioning that he has $108,000 in debt. My. Hyun tries to tell him that he wasn't the one who borrowed that money, but the debt is still his anyways. Taeju tells him that he has no money, no house, and no job, but instead has a lot of debt and a younger brother who can't help him with anything, really. However, Taeju pins Eun to the table and tells him that if he just lets him fuck him, then he can take care of one of those many things right now. Eun, the guy there, naturally protests and tries to get Taeju off of him. But when Taeju tells him that he can sell off his brother as a way to repay the debt, he quiets down. Oh, how I love blackmail. Eun gets essayed by Taeju, and I'm not going to go into any details or show any pictures because it's fucking disgusting. But side note, why does every BL manhwa or manga need to have SA or rape in them? Is this some new policy? Is it that hard to make something, I don't know, fluff? In my fair share of reading BL manhwas, very few of them had no SA in them. Cherry Blossoms in Winter, for example. But so many manhwas have SA in them nowadays that it just demotivates me to read anything new. Because for the first 5 chapters, it might be a happy-go-lucky relationship where everyone and everything is perfect, but then one of them rapes the other. And I get that everyone has their preferences, but But who wants to read that? And the fact that some people look up, learn, and even normalize and even implement these actions into real life relationships makes it even fucking scarier. I could make a whole video essay about this if I wanted to, but for now let's just get back to the manhwa, because there are so many people who have spoken about on this topic way better than I could ever, so please watch that. Chapter 3. Hyun later gets woken up in a car and led by Taeju to his new home. The two walk in and Young, the younger brother, comes up and hugs Aeun. Taeju, having no reason to stay there, pats Aeun's ass and leaves. After Young finds out that he's gonna live alone with Aeun, he tells him that he's happy and the two go to bed. As he's lying down, Aeun makes a plan to run away after a few days and falls asleep. We get a small flashback where we find out that all the money that Aeun previously saved up was taken by his father. When Aeun confronts his father about the money and asks to give it back, he gets slapped. Aeun punches back and intends to kill this fucker, but his hand gets caught by the father. Chapter 4. After the fight, Aeun takes Young. Shit. Aeun, you can't fall off just yet. I'm not done with the video. After the fight, Aeun takes Young and the two run away from their father. While Aeun works in some construction place, he gets called in by his manager. But once he steps into the office, someone else who isn't the manager asks if he's Kim Seo-hook's son. Again, I'm very sorry if I mispronounced that. Tells Aeun that his father disappeared and left over $108,000 debt for Aeun to pay off. Aeun protests and tells this guy that he has nothing to do with the money, but his manager tells him that they need the money no matter who gets to pay it, and if he doesn't have the money, then he can just pay with his body instead. Naturally, Aeun gets pissed and bashes this guy's head into a vase before abruptly waking up. Just as he's remembering what he did, Taeju comes in and tells him that he has 3 options for a job for him. Hosting is the highest paying job, but it will require for him to please customers at some club. Running errands he can't do because although he knows how to drive, he doesn't have a license. And working at a restaurant, which is the lowest paying job, but the most regular one. Taeju tells him that although working at a restaurant is real work and is less gross than being a host, working as a host would let him pay off the debt in no time. With that, he leaves the choice to Aeun. Chapter 5. Aeun picks the restaurant work and Taeju tells him to keep his cool at work, since if he makes a commotion, then a whole day's worth of profit will be added onto his debt. Since Taeju owns the restaurant where Aeun will work out. Coincidence, I know. Aeun remembers the guy he beat up the previous day and asks about him. Taeju tells him that the guy's in the hospital and that he should just not worry about him and worry about making money instead. He also mentions that Aeun doesn't have to pay any rent since he let him get fucked yesterday. I know, great logic. He continues to mess around, but Aeun ignores him. Of course, he gets slapped. However, he's kind of turned on by it? More like turned on because of his smell rather than the slap. Either way, this weirds Aeun out and he slaps him again. The two walk into Young's room, and after he greets the younger brother, Taeju leaves some money on the table and leaves. Sitting in the car, Taeju tells the driver that sooner or later Aeun is going to sell his body anyway since restaurant work doesn't pay enough, and that as long as everyone is nice to his brother, then he himself can come back if he changes his mind. Chapter 6. Despite his worries, the restaurant job went pretty well. So well, in fact, that Aeun even got a second job on the side. But who cares about that? Let's skip a month. We get introduced to Wonyoung, Taejun's cousin and business partner. After a mission, the two cousins sit and wait for their auntie, Haeju. She only appears in one chapter, so I'm not putting her on the wall. When she comes, the two greet her warmly before getting some orders from her. She tells them that the situation is quite inconvenient for them to lay low until some construction starts. I assume they're talking about some hidden assassination or some kind of mafia type of stuff. I don't think they really go into it, or at least I didn't go into it in my script, so take it with a grain of salt, I guess. After laying out their plan, Wonyoung and Taeju reassure their auntie that if anything goes behind her back, they will get their asses beat. Again, I'm not really sure what they're talking about, but whatever. Taeju tells them that the consideration is nice, but the real problem lies with them not having any partners. She tries to lecture them, but the two cut it off and clean up the bloody bodies on the ground. From what, again, I don't know. The two sit in the car, and while Taeju checks Aeun's debt, he gets shocked by the amount that he's already paid off in a month. Taeju arrives into Young's apartment and breaks into it. Aegun comes back, he checks up on his brother and gets ridiculed a bit by Taeju for leaving Young alone all day. He continues to tell Aegun that if he continues to work like this for 3 more years, then he can pay off everything just fine when delivery comes. The three sit down together to eat some fried chicken wings, and while Aegun gets a nice juicy leg, Taegun is given a bony neck. Looking at Aegun, Taeju breaks into a laughing fit while Aeyoung can only think of him as a crazy bastard. Chapter 7, we're close to the end, y'all. Outside the apartment, Taeju tries to convince Aegun to work at the host club, but Aegun tells him to simply fuck off. As Taeju is leaving, Taeyoung grabs his arm and intends to ask about the guy he beat up, but gets kissed instead. Of course, Aegun punches Taeju and thinks about how he should have bit off his tongue when he got the chance. Taeju answers this question and tells him that the guy is still in the hospital, before telling Aegun to not cause any trouble and to drop the attitude before leaving. A couple of days later, Aegun gets a call warning about not being late to work, otherwise he might get fired. And Aegun just tells him that he won't be late anymore and hangs up the call. He continues to clean the table and worries about how if he were to come even earlier, then he wouldn't have any time to see Young. Look, he's such a considerate brother, you guys. What do you mean? He's so cute and patootie. On Taeju's end, he gets told that there are some issues regarding Aegun's house at the auction. They'd be lucky if they even get a 7k bidding. Hearing this, Taeju goes to Yoon to tell him the bad news. When Yoon comes home, he notices that Young has a fever and starts frantically looking for medicine. Just as he realizes that they don't have any, Taeju comes in. Chapter 8. Taeju takes Young and tells Aegun that he should go to work and he will take care of the kid instead. Aegun hesitates about leaving his brother alone with Taeju, but after realizing that he could get fired, he gets disgusted by Taeju's goodbye and leaves. At his work, Aegun is completely out of it, and when he starts to serve wine to a group of customers, one of the customers grabs his ass. They continue to tease and tell him how they can pay him more than the restaurant can, while Aegun tries to convince himself to stay calm. His convincing ends in vain, because he bashes the tray he was holding over a customer's head, even leaving a dent. The customer throws him across the room and calls him a rent boy, but gets punched again. The group gets tired of this cat and mouse game and start to strangle him, when Taeju comes in and breaks them up. Chapter 9. Taeju throws Aegun out of the room and beats up the guys before coming out and telling Aegun that his brother is still in the hospital. Since there was a commotion, the restaurant had to shut down for the day, and in return for not adding on to Aegun's debt, Taeju suggests that he fucks him again. Aegun first declines, but after a moment he agrees under the condition that if he backtracks, then he would kill him. Out of happiness, Taeju hugs Aegun and unties his apron before bringing him to the hospital. At the hospital, Aegun gets his head checked out and finds out that Young is okay and just has a high fever. Before leaving, Aegun finds out that the hospital for his younger brother has already been paid by Taeju. Taeju reminds Aegun about their agreement and kisses him. Back at his apartment, Aegun takes a quick shower and sits down beside Taeju. Out of nowhere, Taeju pulls Aegun's shirt down and smells his nape. Don't ask. Taeju starts to describe Aegun's smell, saying that it resembles a pearly white flower that blooms right before summer. He even adds that it smells so good that sometimes he even wants to eat the flowers because of their sweet, delicate aroma. With his nose still buried in Aegun's nape, he confesses that although most flowery scents calm him, Aegun's specific smell turns him on. Chapter 10. This is another sex chapter. So basically, with minor details, Taeju keeps teasing Aegun until Aegun reaches his breaking point and tells him to fuck off. But when Taeju reminds him of the money, he quiets down. The rest is just Taeju spewing nonsense and letting Aegun shove his dick into himself, and I'm not in the mood to describe all of that. Last 10 chapters. I'm supposed to add a review, especially a review that was like plot, characters, and romance like I did in my previous video, but I'm gonna be entirely honest, this script has been sitting in my Google Docs for the past like 3 months, and I have not finished. I have not touched it. Today is the only day that I opened the document and got reminded of it and decided to make this video. So my opinion on plot, characters, and romance is gonna be right now unscripted and based off this very, very abridged version plot. So far, not a bad plot, I'd say. Despite even in the 10 chapters, I can see how it's engaging, and I can see how someone, even who like, I enjoy erotic content in manhwas sometimes, but it's definitely not like one of the main reasons why I come to read a manhwa, and I can understand why a lot of people would understand me and also come to read it, even despite the many essay and rape scenes. It still ruins the manhwa though. The plot is interesting enough, and I myself am genuinely curious to see like what happens to the guy, what happens to the manager, what happens to his father, if his father is alive even, and how is Taeju gonna lure Egan into like fully kind of repaying his debt and stuff like that. So that's interesting. Also, the fact that this is a megaverse worries me slightly because there's a slight chance that there is mpreg, and I did get spoiled by Pinterest. There is. So I'm probably not gonna make another review on that. Characters. Start off bit by bit. Eun. He's an amazing older brother. I don't have much to say about him except that he's like suicidal. He's a good older brother, and I like him more compared to Skylar from the last manhwa I reviewed. I like him a lot more because, I don't know, I like his personality more. Skylar also stands up for himself, and he was also put into that situation, but I feel like Egan kind of handles it better. I'm already poorly remembering both situations, so again, don't hold me to it. He's a cutie patootie, and I feel really bad for him. He definitely doesn't deserve the fact that he has to like pay off all of the debt. Definitely deserves a better situation to be in, but you know what? It is what it is, I guess. Taeju, you can barely see that motherfucker. If we're gonna ignore the immense amount of horniness and sex appeal that radiates from this guy, and also rape tendencies, I think he's actually pretty cool. He's like a boss babe. He owns a restaurant that is actually quite fancy. He's kind of rich. Kind of. I say really rich. He's pretty rich. He is attractive, I won't lie. I mean, for manhwa standards, he is pretty attractive. And he ordered fried chicken for the family. I think that's pretty nice of him. But if we were to include literally everything else and all the other red flags this man has, I cannot accept him. Taeju, you are same level as Cyrus, maybe one step better than him because you ordered fried chicken, but you are so close to dropping down to Cyrus's level. It is insane. I have read the comments while I was reading the manhwa on the site that I was reading it on, and they say that he does get better as a character, but the character development and getting better part starts at around chapter 80. I'm not reading until chapter 80, y'all. I did this only once, and I'm only doing this once for a video. I've got to wait 8 more videos for that, so I mean, I bet he does. I bet he does get better as a character. But it's also like, first impressions are pretty important, and the fact that you raped him, and blackmailed him into rape, kinda isn't cool. And it's also not cool considering the fact that somehow he also gets impregnated by you. Anyways, Taeju, fuck him, genuinely. The younger brother. I don't have much to say about him too, because like, I don't think his character is developed like much, because you know, he's a child. But I think he's a cute child, and he, again, like Ahun, yeah. He doesn't deserve to be in the situation that he is, and it's a shame that he is. But he's very cute. I like his relationship with his brother. You know, it's very nice. Very cute. They like want to be together, and that's the only thing that matters to them. And I think that's cute, okay? I think that's nice. And also the fact that he got a juicy chicken wing, very, very deserved. Side characters, Wonyoung and Haiju, I think was the auntie's name. Good side characters. I like Wonyoung. She's pretty based as hell. She's pretty cool. She's pretty hot. She gives off dummy mommy energy, and I appreciate that. So, you know, that's pretty nice. I think that the characters are cool, and the auntie is pretty cool. Clearly tell this isn't scripted. Either way, I think that the side characters are pretty cool, and they help out somewhat the main character, so I mean, nice correlation. Romance. Similar to Lost in the Cloud. There we go, I remember the name. Similar to Lost in the Cloud, there isn't there's barely any romance in the first chapters, unless you count rape and sexual harassment and sexual assault as romance. Then you do you, babe. It's not my business. There is no romance. Maybe very slight, like, similar kind of to season 1 of Lost in Clouds, little tidbits and pieces and bits and pieces of here and there of romance, like from Taeju towards Ehun, maybe, but there's nothing like devotion, nothing like actual like love. The most romantic thing that has happened is, again, ordering chicken and like being worried about the guy's death and also raping him, if you count that as romance, but that isn't romance. So far in the first 10 chapters, there isn't really any romance, and I don't think we'll see it until much later into the manhwa. Maybe, dare I say, maybe season 2 of the manhwa. And this is me saying, like, not having read Low Tide and Twilight fully, so either way, I think it'll get better, but so far there is literally no romance, and you cannot argue me and tell me that there is, because if you want to be my guest, I would love to point it out for me, because I can't see it. Well, yeah, this script has been laying in my documents for like good 4 months, maybe 3, and I'm glad that I finally got to read it, because Low Tide and Twilight just genuinely seem like an interesting manhwa, and I also quite enjoyed the art style, and I think that had I committed myself more to it, that I would actually enjoy the story, and it would make a longer video on it. But so far we're only covering 10 chapters, and that's my opinion on them. So yeah. Thanks for watching. Tell me if you have any other opinions or any theories or any other whatever, any ideas even for videos, and you have any theories, ideas, or opinions on Low Tide and Twilight. I would love to hear them, because, you know, as you can clearly see, I love to yap. Follow my socials, please do. I'm actually getting on that posting grind, so I would love if y'all saw it. And yeah. Comment what else you want me to make a review about. Any other manhwas, mangas, books, anime, whatever. Love you. Okay, bye. I'm taking a nap.